In what is being called a highly unusual move, the White House today held a meeting with all 100 senators to discuss the rising tensions between the U.S. and North Korea. Some lawmakers are still pitching diplomacy, but the U.S. military has been weighing its options, including moving an anti-missile defense system and a nuclear submarine just off the shores in South Korea. Is all-out war the very best solution to topple the regime, or would peace best be achieved by a secret military strike on Kim Jong-un? A la what we did with Osama bin Laden back in 2011. Here to discuss is the man who actually killed Osama bin Laden. It's former SEAL Team 6 member and Fox News contributor Rob O'Neill, author of the new book, The Operator. It details the bin Laden raid and much of his life growing up in picturesque Butte, Montana.
It does. It kind of goes.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kennedy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great book. Really interesting read. I was interested that you didn't come from a military background.
No, that was all on a whim. I came to the military because of a girl. I got dumped, heartbroken, and I tried to...
She ate like a lumberjack.
That's true. She had the Taco Bell first
like a
day.
sailor. What?
Swore like a sailor as well, apparently.
Yeah,
that's in there, too. I tried to join the Marine Corps because that's the fastest way to get away from her. And the Marine wasn't there, and the Navy guy was in there, and he talked me into joining the Navy all on a whim, and I figured, you know, I'll go in there, I'll get... I found out eventually what the training was, learned how to swim because I didn't know how. The recruiter, it seemed like I was a quota more than he cared about me.
Yeah.
Learned to swim, found out about SEALs, and figured, you know, I'll give it a try. Joined the Navy 4 years, come back with some stories, hang out at Maloney's Bar, and that's that. That didn't happen that way. I met the guys, went on some adventures. We started operating before 9/11. We did stuff everywhere, the Persian Gulf, parts of southern Europe, Africa.
And you had 400 missions.
400 missions before the bin Laden raid.
Do you think that the public and lawmakers rely too heavily on special operators?
At this point in some of the conflicts, they rely quite a bit just because when you're fighting like a counterinsurgency or not fighting a big army, we're going to need special operators to get into certain spots. Everything from gathering human intelligence, certain kinds of other intelligence, and then when you have ways to get in precise point targets like the one with bin Laden. Special operators did the same thing with Saddam Hussein. Were able to do that to get him. Special operators were involved for Abu Musab al-Zarqawi when the Air Force eventually bombed him. A lot of great guys doing that stuff. We need them for people that aren't fighting a fair war, if that makes any sense, if there is such a thing.
Well, it's obviously so different because, you know, we were all raised to think that there were good guys and bad guys, and there was a Cold War, and it was us versus them, and, you know, we kill as many bad guys as possible, and then we're victorious. It's obviously a very different age. In North Korea, I was talking to a North Korean expert the other night, and he said there is no comparison to where we're at now. South Korean press has said that there is a U.S. plan for special operators to take out Kim Jong-un. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a good idea to take out Kim Jong-un, and I know, just like with my experience with like the bin Laden raid, there were several different plans, which I'm sure there are right now. I think it's going to be more difficult with Kim Jong-un to do a raid like that simply because of what he has, his layers of defense around him. His completely hypnotized crazy people that have grown up to believe, you know, you only know what you've been taught. They've been taught that these are gods, this family, the Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un, all those guys. And it would be difficult to get in. We would need something like, I think, like a hard strike and then an uprising from within, like a coup, to get him out of there. There's so many...
But how do you communicate? I mean, I guess that's my question. Like, how do you communicate with those military leaders who are scared for their lives and probably a majority of them want change, but it's just impossible to have any communication.
You saw what happened with relatives.
They'll kill their families.
They spray nerve agents in their faces in the airport. You saw the footage of that, killing his own uncles with anti-aircraft weapons and stuff like that. So it's a hermit society, and it's hard to get in. That's why the human intelligence is difficult in this situation. There's got to be something going on. I think would involve more the South Korean special forces, because you need to blend in too. And we had a hard time in Afghanistan. Like if we invaded Scotland, I might get back in.
I'm not being gingerous, but you would have a very tough time blending in.
Haven't you gotten in trouble before for the ginger leprechaun type thing? Wasn't me?
There's a difference between a ginger and a leprechaun, and you and I both know it.
I think it's a height difference. And
on one side. All right, so the operator right here. We only have a couple seconds left. But you weren't supposed to be on the inside of that compound.
I was supposed to be on the outside as a team leader for the snipers. And there was a group of women that found bin Laden. And it was one woman in particular that said, he's going to be on the 3rd floor. She told me that personally. I knew we only had a few guys going up there. I said, the snipers that are already outside can handle the team leader spot.
You told your Master Chief.
I requested. I said, can I please go on with, and we call ourselves the Martyrs Brigade because we knew that was going to blow up, but we'd get him for sure. And I wanted to be there. It was a heck of a night, and that's one of the stories.
So what happened? You shot him in the head 3 times. The first 2 you knew you got him. Did you acknowledge the enormity of that moment the second it
Not
happened?
for about 7 or 8 seconds, because we still had one of the women, his wife, in the room. The 2-year-old kid was still in the room. And I remember looking at the kid as a father thinking, this poor kid has nothing to do with this. And I wanted him to be out of harm's way. And then I kind of turned around. Other SEALs are there. And I had a guy come up and say, are you okay? And I said, yeah, what do we do now? And he said, well, now we find the computers. We've done this hundreds of times. And I'm like, you're right, I'm back. And he said, yeah, bro, you just killed bin Laden. Your life just changed.
Yeah, to smush his smashed brains back
we
together.
We wanted to piece it. Sometimes justice is served, and it's not pretty to look at. And that's what happened. He deserved it. I assumed he was a suicide bomber. The quickest way to get rid of a suicide bomber is to shoot him in the face. That's what happened. It's not pretty, but I think it was justice served.
And it's all in the book, The Operator.
Yeah, that's like chapter 22 or 23. There's other stories to get up there. The team was so great. We all worked together for so long. We were very precise.
You take us right into that compound in Abbottabad.
Yeah, nobody wants to know the classified stuff. They want to know, what did it smell like? What did your buddy act like when he knew he was going to die, but he jumped on the suicide bomber anyway? Like, it's incredible stuff. Amazing heroes, and I'm glad I could tell the story of the Operator.
Intense stories throughout the book. Rob, thank you so much.
Anytime.
Good
Love being here. Great to see you, too.